All right, guys. Next up, we got the co-main event of the evening. This one's going down in the flyweight division. It's Kai Kara-France, don't blink, taking on Astroboy, Steve Erceg. And guys, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go to Kai Kara-France because I have his fight tape. And I made one of my favorite predictions ever for Kai Kara-France against Brandon Royval, okay? And we'll pull it up right now. We've got this fight right here. The pick, Brandon Royval via sub in round 2. And my reason being was Royval is relentless, fast-paced, crazy cardio, was getting taken down easily, but always responded properly. Good, clever striking, willing to commit and get taken down, getting back up quickly, dangerous submissions. When I think of a guy, that I'm looking for to beat a guy like Kai Kara-France, I think that they need an ability to go out there and strike. They need an ability to go out there and wrestle. They need an ability to be well-rounded. And I think that Steve Erceg does have that ability, right? He's coming off of a title fight. So that is always a potential letdown spot, right? We know that, where it can be a spot where guys come out and, it's not the same, right? It's 3 rounds instead of 5. It's, I got to go out there and fight this tough guy, but maybe the rewards aren't the same. And it's harder to get up for that fight. It's harder to stay as motivated. However, that Steve Erceg is in a weak division, right? Not weak as in the talent's not there, but weak as in weakly promoted, as in weak. Nobody wants to see any one particular title challenger above the rest. Casual fans aren't familiar with a lot of these flyweights. So you're looking at a guy in Steve Erceg who made a name for himself in that last fight, who could have easily won the fight against Pantoja and just let it slip through his fingers, made a couple of bad decisions, and ultimately it cost him. But when I think back to that Brandon Royval pick, does that not echo a lot of what Steve Erceg brings to the table, guys? He's creative with his strikes. He's got fundamental boxing. I think that Kai Kara-France can also box. He can also go out there and strike. So what is the difference maker? The difference maker for Steve Erceg in this fight, I feel, has to be his ability to go out there and wrestle, has to be his ability to go out there and get this fight to the ground and test the grappling of Kai Kara-France. We've seen guys like Askar Askarov put him in bad situations at bad positions. I was there live for that fight. The crowd was going absolutely crazy against the Russians, right? They were just having a time booing the Russians there in Columbus, Ohio. But I don't think that we saw a guy in Kai Kara-France cleanly win that fight. I thought it was very close. I thought it was very nip-tuck. He relied on big power shots, getting the knockdowns, getting, big, kill positions. But I think of a guy like Steve Erceg as really tough. I think of him as a guy that's hard to put away. If you can go out there and grapple, wrestle, move around with Pantoja, put him in some positions, go out there and land big shots on the feet, hurt him a little bit, sting him a little bit, I think that he's a guy that could go out there and win big fights in the UFC. So for me, Steve Erceg is a guy that's got a weird, unique aura about him. And when you look at the intangibles for this fight, we've got 31 years of age for Kai Kara-France. He is 5'4", so he's going to be the smaller guy coming into this fight. He's going to be the older guy by 2 years, but he's really desperate for a win, right? He kind of needs this one. He's off a 2-fight skid, and he got knocked out by Brandon Moreno with a liver kick in a fight he was doing well. He lost a very controversial split decision against Amir Albazi, so no skin off his nose. He's been fighting well, but I think ultimately you got a guy in Steve Erceg who has the ability to land kill shots, who's got the ability to hurt you to the body, to the head, and he's got the better submission pedigree, 6-0 career to the submission. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Kai Kara-France who's 3-3 career to the submission. It's just not as dangerous, and he puts his head in bad positions. He starts wrestling when he gets hurt. That's kind of his baseline. When he gets hurt in a fight, he starts wrestling. He starts looking for opportunities to get a hold of somebody. And if you do that against Steve Erceg, he might grab a hold of you. He might go ahead and put you in that choke. So shout out to my guy Glenbot, says KKF seems to drop the hands when takedowns are feinted. Kai's inactivity, is sus. Fair play. Close fight, but was still surprised how much the line has moved. Understandable. Volk saying Erceg better straight shots. KKF more power and loopy. I agree that he's more loopy. I'm not sure that he has more power. I think it's pretty close, but yeah, maybe that's fair to say. Do you think the threat of grappling from Erceg will increase the chances of him landing bigger shots? Yes. Kai Kara-France doesn't win at this level, especially outside of round 1. Fair enough, my man. Yeah, I think Kai is a good fighter, but I just think ultimately his window's starting to close, and I think Steve Erceg is a guy who's still building a lot of momentum, and Kai's had a lot more fights, so that's his calling card, his claim to fame here. But he's the guy who's a little bit older and a little bit smaller here, and I'm just not sure that he's got the game that's going to stack up with these new era fighters. But Hunter, it's funny. I'm glad you asked that. I scored the Erceg fight for the Erceg Pantoja fight for Erceg on the night that it happened. I would have to go back and rewatch it to have an official scorecard for you that I really feel good about. But I remember I tweeted on the night, I was like, people are going to crucify me for this, but on my scorecard, I thought Erceg did enough. And that's true. So when I was watching live, I was very sleep deprived, but I thought Steve Erceg went out there and fought well, and I thought he could have won the fight. And I thought he definitely blew it in the 5th round in terms of like decision making. Could have made it way easier on himself, but he landed a lot of good shots, and I thought it was very competitive throughout. So a lot of close rounds. You give that one to Erceg, doesn't really bother me. So I think that ultimately he's shown himself to be very good. He's shown himself to be dangerous. He's shown himself to beat quality fighters, but he's got to show, hey, I'm going to go out there and finish a guy that's this quality, that's this, potent. Kai has the reach advantage, says Karawara. I think it's a half-inch reach advantage, if a reach advantage at all. And I think it will be negated by the huge disparity in height, but fair play. I understand what you're saying. Did you see Kai's pink outfit? He doesn't deserve a win. I did not, but I will not judge him for his outfits. I will judge him for the merits of his cage craft. But additionally, guys, let's talk about the odds here. We've got minus 148 at Circa Sports, the best available price for Steve Erceg. Meanwhile, plus 140, the best available comeback on Kai Kara France as a dog. I'm surprised by the line movement here. I'm surprised to see so much love for Kai Kara France, but he's a higher profile guy coming out of City Kickboxing. Maybe it's City Kickboxing's night, right? Sometimes gyms have a night, but I think that ultimately, Kai Kara France has a very tough assignment here against a game opponent who's a little bit younger and who's desperate for a win in his own right, because he knows I can win the title if I can just get another opportunity. So for me, that's an interesting fight. It's a great thing to see flyweights getting this kind of shine in a co-main event spot, but I don't feel compelled to play the underdog in this spot. So I won't jump on the favorite price tag until I see where the bottom is, right? We're seeing a lot of love come in on the dog right now. So let's see how it goes.